Right, so, it is finally here, the two-part finale for Season 2 or 15 or whatever it wants to call itself. And it was about as chaotic and all over the place and overall divisive as expected. Everything is on fire now. You sort of get a feel for these things after a while. Roster finales are either really, really good or really, really bad. There's very little in between. We have fond memories of Doomsday, The Last of the Time Lords, and The End of Time, but that's because it's in the past. It's nostalgic to us now. Upon first release, they all got harsh reviews. Time will tell if this one will be remembered as one of the greats or one of the stinkers of history. I think it'll largely depend on what comes after this, but we will get to that, believe me, we will. I know I was going to do both episodes in one video. A week after doing this post, I've borne witness to the entirety of the Doctor Who fandom just igniting around me. It's all collapsing now, and we are definitely in the worst possible timeline, as even the most pro-RTD creators have turned on the show. And naturally, I now have much more to say than expected. So yeah, it's going to be in two parts now, and maybe hopefully I will get through this without completely losing my mind. So let's start with Wishworld. Wishworld is one of the more experimental kinds of episodes. The kind of thing that you would expect to see in Big Finish. In fact, a lot of this era has felt like live-action Big Finish, only done with a different writing team, and this episode is no exception. It begins with the new Rani stealing a baby from a lovely German couple. The father is the seventh son of a seventh son, and he's just had his seventh son, who the Rani promptly steals, turning his mum into flower petals and the husband into an owl and their 6 boys into mellowed ducks. Thank goodness they're males. If they were female, that would be a fate worse than death. If you know, you know. This child is Desiderium, a new addition to the pantheon of discord and the god of wishes. Quick note on the new Rani, she is being played by Archie Panjabi. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right, I didn't look up the pronunciation this time, but she does an excellent job. When Russell reintroduced the Master, he didn't immediately feel like the Master, not including the 5 seconds that we got of the Jacoby incarnation, he was perfect. But this Rani is spot on. The Rani, first and foremost, is a scientist. Just from her demeanor alone, you get the impression this is a cold, calculating woman with a superiority complex the size of Stephen Moffat's massive brain, who regards all other intelligent life forms as mere test subjects for experimentation. Although it really is a shame that the Mrs. Flood incarnation of the Rani doesn't really get her chance to shine after all of that build-up. Though honestly, I love the way that these two play off each other. There's a sort of tension between these two incarnations, a tension that could bubble to a boil in a power struggle that would ultimately result in their downfall. But honestly, that would make way too much sense. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Belinda wake up in marital bliss. Going by Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they live in a lovely 1950s-style London life, with colour TV and a daughter named Poppy, who you might remember from Space Babies, unless you haven't tried to purge that episode from your memory. Only Russell would watch Baby Geniuses and think, yes, but put them in space. And there's a lovely man named Conrad on the telly, reading stories about the Doctor and how awesome the Rani is. So pretty much the baby from the previous scene is being used by the Ranis and Conrad to wish Conrad's view of a perfect world into existence. Women are restricted to being mothers and housewives, gays are forced to stay in the closet, the disabled are forced to live on the streets, and trans people straight up aren't allowed to exist. It's forced heterosexuality all around. Topical, apply once daily. When I said that Conrad was all bigotries rolled into one in a previous video, I was joking. Alright, to be honest, that's not really fair. He apparently doesn't seem to have a problem with other races, which is weird. I thought that was one of the main things in the UK. Belinda is the perfect housewife, caring for her baby, cleaning and cooking. And the Doctor, or Mrs. Smith as he likes to be called, is the sole breadwinner. Working as an insurance agent, his boss is Kate Stewart. His co-worker is the bloke that Kate Stewart has a crush on, and everybody seems very happy and content so long as nobody doubts anything and nobody says anything gay. A lot of people have criticized this scene where the Doctor calls this guy a beautiful man. It's pretty heavy-handed, but honestly, how else do you want them to communicate that gays aren't allowed in this reality? But this reality is not sustainable, and not everyone fits into the roles that are being assigned to them. They have doubts, and when they do, the illusion that is the world loses cohesion, and some people straight up can't accept the reality they're being presented with. Belinda has this scene where her mum and her nan are talking about women's correct place in the world, and she just checks out. And there are some who can actually see beyond the illusion, like the disabled who have no place in this world and therefore can see beyond it. And Ruby, who knows Conrad way too well, and is once again kicked out by her foster mum for doubting in front of the baby. Jesus Christ, Russell, why do you want to hurt this character so much?
You have responsibility to those you create. If you give us life, you must honor that life. You must not hurt us for no reason. What sort of sick mind creates only to give pain, to torture his children for the entertainment of others?
You're not real.
He also remembers the Doctor and finds herself trying to break him out of the delusion. All this comes to a head when the Doctor sees a strange man on the TV. I'm guessing a lot of people don't remember who he is. It's Rogue from that one episode, Rogue, from season 1. or 14 or whatever it wants to call itself. You know, the Bridgerton episode. The guy the Doctor had such really awesome chemistry with and fell in love with, who could have been a recurring character if Jonathan Groff didn't have so many commitments. So Russell thought it would be a good idea to banish him into a hell dimension. Anyway, somehow he can hack into this alternate reality in the main universe, which is, yeah, sure, of course he can. From a hell dimension. Where did he get the camera? How do you know what was going on enough to tell the Doctor that the tables don't do that? Who the hell knows? Don't question it. There's a good chap, lass, or NB equivalent. So the Doctor is seriously doubting things now, so the Rani brings him and Belinda up to the Bone Palace so she can do some exposition. She reveals that her and the Doctor go way back, they used to be lovers or something, and she did all of this so that the Doctor would doubt, because a Time Lord's doubt can break the universe or something, and crack open reality so she can see what's underneath. And apparently what's underneath is the Underverse, and in the Underverse is Omega. Yes, they're throwing Omega on top of everything else. This is just weird. Yes, it's another legacy character that most of the audience don't know who he is or why they should care. Good on you, Russell, you did it again. Do I really have to do another video just to explain who this guy is? Because I will. This is one of the biggest problems of this era. RTD1 was made with non-Who fans in mind. It was made to be accessible. When a character from the old show was brought in, they introduced them in a way that would tell you everything that you need to know about the character without alienating the audience. But this era seems to be written for classic Who nerds like myself, which is great for me. I mean, I'm enjoying it, but for the rest of the audience, it's like you expect them to look up a TARDIS wiki or watch a guide video for each old Who character that you bring in. And they're not just going to do that, you need to give them a reason to want to. And you can't rely on content creators to pick up the slack for you. We are not your advertising department, mate. So, this was a thing. Overall, this episode is not terrible. It's the kind of experimental stuff that you usually see in Big Finish, and I'm a simple person. Give me something that looks like Big Finish and I'll be happy. The Bone Palace is beautifully realized, so are the bone monsters that are stomping around the city. I had a lot of fun with it. But like the Fennel Snap in the end of the first part of the last finale, it just reads like Russell doing cover versions of MCU stuff. Last time it was the Infinity War, now it's WandaVision. And bringing back Omega when you already have Conrad, 2 Ranis, the possible return of Susan Foreman, and on top of that you have the regeneration of the 15th Doctor, which means you've got a bunch of loose ends to tie up as well. It just makes things a little bit crowded, and it all made me very nervous for the next episode. But what did you think? Why not leave something in the comments? Thanks for watching, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.